The views and opinions expressed in the following podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the producers, the affiliates, or digital platforms hosting this podcast. All content is for the purposes of education, conjecture, and at times entertainment. We promote inclusiveness and diversity. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Into the Deep with Jay Costa.
Welcome to Into the Deep. I'm Jay Costa. I am ecstatic about today's guest. She's an author and biohacker who happens to also be an herbalist, a singer-songwriter who guides people through meditation and sound therapy. Today's guest is Emel Michael. Emel had a desire to genuinely understand what true sound was all about, which led her to become a voice activation coach. We talk about so much in this episode. We talk about the use of esoteric knowledge from ancient civilizations, like the use and effects of frequency and vibration, and its correlation in music. And we even talk about one of her books, Where the Wild Herbs Grow, which has insights to the benefits that nature provides us. So, join me as we seek light and journey into the deep with Emel Michael. Enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I cannot thank you enough for your time. It really means a lot to me.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Well, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our listeners and our viewers who you are and what it is you do, my friend.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Emel Michael. Some people know me as Luvia. There's a story behind where that came from. I have always been in the field of music as a singer-songwriter, and then moved on to understanding what true sound was about and what it meant to really tap into music and the greater purpose for it. And so then I pursued the kind of like to help people through meditations in corporate companies, facilitating 20-minute meditations here and there, and which was one of my passions. And also I'm a herbalist too, so I practice herbalism. I've written a book which is out now, Where the Wild Herbs Grow and Wonders of the Universe, which is an insight for herbs that help your mental health, brain activity, memory, sleep, and prevention of Alzheimer's, which was a 3-year project I dedicated myself to. And I also love to paint and draw, but they're the main things that I do, and to be of service.
Well, thank you for all that you do and all that you give to the world around you. Truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, you talk about, you love music and singer-songwriter. What got you on that trajectory of music?
So a singer-songwriter for me started at a very early age, 15, writing poetry quite naturally. And it was a pursuit to make myself feel good. The music, I realized, was about self-expression, so I could fine-tune myself in making myself feel good. Then the journey of making other people feel good made sense. That was the mission, for me. Then realized later on through the pursuit of being from 16 recording up until I got to about 36 when I guess a pandemic hit. I realized that there was a greater purpose in music, but it was the directive that I got in 2017 through my otherworldly interaction with another being that was teaching me about what vibration and frequency was about. I didn't put the pieces together until later on in my research of ancient history, which was my encounter with Thoth. that allowed me to go deeper into frequency and vibration, and a deeper understanding of what many ancient civilizations understood. There was a triptych code they went by, and I felt like I was remembering all of this. So my path of music had to be realized through truth.
I love that. And so I guess when you did have that revelation, my words, not yours, but I guess when you had that moment or that epiphany, if you will, what was it about it? How did you know that this was it? This was the truth that you were supposed to receive?
When I was about 8, I used to draw in this little book, and I found it again when I moved, and I was going through it. And when I was flicking through, I dated certain points of time. Like 1994, I had drawn a star, and it was named Dream Star. And then I have remembered what I saw, a very, very bright, vibrant star that was pulsing in my whole being, in my face, that I could see. And then I just went back into looking at the book again. I was like, oh, I remember that experience, that dream. And during 2021, I remembered that this book existed by Solara called Remembrance to the Starborn. It was the same star. So I connected the two and started reading some of the works that she had written. And it was very, very much linked to me. So she then, through my research, I realized in 1993, they went around and did an activation around Earth to awaken the starborn, or to awaken the Earth's heart within us all, to anchor in this awakening of sort. And then it just hit me that she had reached me, and many, I'm sure, but I had written that dream in the remembrance of the action I felt in my own perception as what happened, which then reverted back to 2017 when I met the encounter that was teaching me about frequency and vibration. They were all the same teachings, but a different time. And that's when it felt right, that there was something that I had forgotten. And through my dreams, some of them had said that we have a unique soul signature, and each of that is a vibration, which, if I can remember, it was 2019, 14th of April. And this is in the memoirs. Your frequency carries your identity with the vibration, which is unique to your geometric pattern. You do not need to name it, but if so, then will carry a frequency. The word thence is the vibration to the form and being, of which, as said before, travels through the space between which we cannot see. What might that be? Vibration. And then the epiphany sort of continued.
Wow. Do you feel like everything leading up to that moment, when you were living it, might not have made the most sense, or just felt like sometimes confusing, or and then did it all kind of make sense once that moment in time occurred?
Well, I think for everyone for your listeners, this question is really important, because at times when I was getting these messages, I had this thought of there's an inner flame that no one could explain what it is, and it's always been there and it cannot be quenched. There was always a truth and a dream and a magic that felt like a child at all times, that wonderment. And it was always that I believed in. And the world around me was a projection of, probably in my mind as well, I thought there were other people's ideas and their own restrictions within themselves.
Sure.
So at times I'd feel like, am I just making this up? Should I really take my head out of the clouds? And I thought, well, what is beyond the clouds? Are we in this box? And people are so stuck in this containment that they cannot rise above it, and always question, obviously question, but don't question your sanity, because if you start questioning your sanity, you'll never truly find the answer, because all is one. Your mind is a part of the whole. So your soul signature is truth. And if you listen to your inner intuition and what you feel is your truth, will lead you to, I guess, liberation of some sort.
I love that. I think I can align with a lot of that.
Yeah.
I also love music, and as a musician, got into music for a lot of the same reasons. It was when you're younger, you don't realize it. We're just so self-serving. We just, it feels good to express ourselves and get this out and these ideas and write these words and try to make sense of the world around us.
Yeah.
So when you had shared with us, like getting to that point where you realized that there was something more, that it wasn't about, and this is my interpretation of what you had said, that it became bigger or larger than you and about everyone else.
Yeah, it did, because I realized even through some of the teachers that walked into my life, that there is space and there is time, and none of them can be truly measured. So you can't really contain all the happenings that happen, but just register them and learn from them. And karma means action. So how you react to it in this lifetime will try to be as positive as you can, even though most of the things that can be like negative, which is what happened to me. It made me kind of go into the darkness to really truly understand what it meant to understand myself, but others that are in pain, and it wasn't about me anymore, because the question that I had when I had the breakthrough of changing my career as singer-songwriter was, what am I doing it for? Like, what is the greater purpose? Like you say, you love music and we love doing all these things, and it's almost like we do it to make ourselves feel good, but where are we going as humanity? And then I was like, what is it for? And I realized then I had to change my perception of how I see myself. I am a part of the greater whole. And we are all the children of light, and we're here to experience the human condition. But we could, I think, elevate ourselves through sound. And this is what the ancients knew. I did a lot of research on that, and it's true. They did. It was a key for them to unlock. Had to tap into all that is.
Right. It's amazing to think that, especially with music and, culturally, across cultures, where music, I used to always say, even now to this day as an adult, but as an adolescent, I felt music was this universal language that everyone somehow, some way would feel. And you felt music. You didn't just listen to it. Some people listen to it, I'm sure, but like for me, I felt music, felt everything about it. And I gravitated towards, it seemed like lyrics that were more positive and uplifting. So it's something to be said about sound and vibration.
Yeah, this is so important. It's like everything is a waveform, and we are a part of that infinite wave. We're atoms in this quantum field experiencing this human form in this simulation of sort, and our reaction to this realm is through our reaction to our emotions and environment. But like, for example, your feeling to that a positive elevation is because it's a harmonic. It's a beautiful geometric pattern that connects to what nature sounds like. The beauty of the running river, the sound of the bee humming. That the bee humming could even be measured. I think it's like, I can't remember. I'll find out. There's a certain frequency that a bee hums that is harmonic. I think it's 528 hertz. And you can find that in nature. So if we want to truly be in harmonics with ourselves, we have to understand what nature's sound is. And I think that's where you felt that positivity, because you're connecting to all that is. And I felt like humanity in some point created a way to contain our minds and our beings through a form of natural law to human law, which is part chaotic, that there is no balance in it, and sound can be distorted in that way if you know how to control it. Yeah, there's a lot of depth into that. I could go a bit more into it, but yeah.
I love how you tie it back, and I agree wholeheartedly of just how it ties back to nature and what we learn from nature, and seemingly how far removed, at least, for fast-paced society, we get so far removed from nature and what it offers us, and we forget that we are part of nature, and we're not. It's almost like we forgot. And like you said, you started remembering these ancient teachings and doing research. And so I have to ask, as you were doing this research, did it feel like it was making more sense on a deeper level to you?
Yeah, it did. When I had to go back into what ancient Sumeria had to say, what the Mayans had to say, the Egyptians, and they understood the principle of measurement, which is in line with the stars. They work with pi, the Fibonacci sequence is a form of, I'm sure a lot of people in your audience know that Tesla had understood to create this number pattern. And it kind of starts off with the smallest of number, which is 0, and then it doubles, but it doubles in a certain pattern, which you can actually draw to make a geometric shape, from 3, 6, 9, 9 being the master number. And when I looked into all of these things, I realized that these correlate to color. That color is also a pattern that can be measured in the same form. And color is also shown as an emotion through the chakra system, through our emotional body. So then I realized that you could start to synergize through these harmonics that is within us, that is shown as through color, but color is all around. Like color is a form of sound waves that we see in this realm. And I understood the why that if I could master, at least understand how I could attune my voice to some of these harmonics, as the ancients did, in certain sites, because there's certain sites that are put on an electromagnetic field, like Avebury on Stonehenge, that we could truly understand how that could then affect our brain activity. And then it goes deeper. So your brain activity then starts to pick up on, for example, gamma, alpha, and I, for example, through meditation, have felt like I've had downloads just by being in a higher state of consciousness. So if you can align all those things, you can control your body harmonics. So with sound baths and modalities like that, you can use that as a form of a tool, to tap into that. And I thought, well, this would be a beautiful mission, and somehow decipher through research put into this book, understanding, I guess, how the ancients understood it. And it's still a bit of a minefield, but I'll read you a little segment if you like.
Please.
So in part of the book, what I did was to plant medicine is one of the main things, is why the book came about. But if I was to lay it down to, okay, plants, they use the sunlight. The sunlight emanates the light, which is white. But if you deflect it through prisms, all the colors of the spectrum. We're also all the colors of the spectrum, with all the hues of red to purple, And so that's when I realized that light plays an important part. And light is a measurement of sort that we also have within ourselves, which transposes into sound. So these triptych code structures, which is in the book, are in 3 locations worldwide. How the 3 new civilization oceans part the same philosophy is beyond me. The symbols mean the same universal religion called non-duality, where harmony is met by using these philosophies together. This teaching, wisdom tradition, and self-empowerment are based on the number 3. This teaching is a Latin word. Coincidentia oppistorum is a Latin phrase meaning coincidence of opposites. It is a Neoplatonic term attributed to 15th century German polymath Nicholas of Cusa with his essay De Cota Ignorantia, meaning union of opposites or harmony of opposites, forms the foundation of every ancient. So the Mayas, Mesoamerica's left, for example, in the image, you'll see that Mesoamerica, the pyramid, has a basic construct of the Mayan religion and is a harmony of opposites. And it has 3 windows. The Egyptian worldview, middle pyramid, again, has the 3 windows. Asia has the 3 windows, and they all show this through their construction, which works with the sun. You've got the you have the different sort of cycles that we go through, from new moons to full moons, from eclipses to the different seasons, and it all works with the light and alignment with the stars, which is in a way harmonic.
It's amazing, and it baffles me that we didn't learn so much of this in school, and that we were kind of almost left to assume that ancient civilizations were not intelligent, but yet there were all these mysteries. And I always was inquisitive, like, well, they had to have been intelligent. How could they have built all these things and done all these wonderful things? Where does it all come from?
Yeah. And even if you was to look at the flower of life in the Forbidden City in Beijing, China, and it was like home to 24 emperors of the Ming I Qing dynasties, and like the Sphinx, the food dogs were a symbol of protection to the buildings and their inhabitants, and also they were considered to be the guardians of knowledge. And under the paw you have the flower of life.
Fantastic.
They understood this, and it's like we had forgotten.
It's weird, and I mean that in a good way. It's weird how now, well, it's not weird, it's just great. It's uncanny that we're living in such great times, because I feel like a lot more people are open hearts, open minds to a shifting of the paradigm that's just kind of been existent for a while, that we probably grew up in, and we just felt like something was off. But now I feel like there are people who are opening their eyes, didn't realize that we were proverbially asleep, and that there is so much more information and knowledge out there.
Yeah, there is. And it's in everything. Like the ancients had left it for us. And I think that's probably why I had to wake up. Like one of the dreams I had, it was quite intense. I keep a dream book. Everyone should keep a dream book. Keep a dream book, guys. You never know, right? And one of the things I had was like, I met this man. He had these deranged wide eyes, and I looked at them, and they had the galaxies in them. And he goes like I was telling this person to wake up. The galaxy is within you. We need you to wake up to remember. And when I woke up after that, like, whoa, remember what? I think we're walking all into a time of remembrance. So, and there are many people out there that are really doing their best, like yourself, Jay, to bring that awareness, and I think if each of us can truly start to align with our heart's content and find compassion, kindness, and happiness within all those things, we will remember. But my advice would always be empty your mind as much as you can, because when the mind is full, there is no room for it. your own form of like meditation, your own form of downloading from the universe, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And I think that it's especially challenging for a lot of individuals out there with, busy schedules, busy
Hmm.
lives, single parents, if you will. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot of stimulus and distraction, lots of distraction. And I feel like the work you're doing is you're opening up these pathways and these doorways for individuals to tap into something greater than themselves that they might not even realize is within them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there is this wonderful thing that I'm trying to bring to life, and for people to start remembering how they can help themselves. Um, Even how you can reharmonize yourself through sound, and knowing that actually your organs have a frequency. And if I could put something together the best that I could in a most simplest form for people to then listen to these hertz and these frequencies, they can really help themselves. Because if for example, Dr. Raymond Rife was a great scientist, and he created this machine. You probably are aware. I would say people do your research on Dr. Raymond Rife, on his machine, and what he was able to do is tap into certain hertz and frequencies to target like cancer cells. And he understood how to do that. Again, this is all through sound that we cannot see, but you could if you put a cymatics plate underneath it, and then you would be able to see, because sound is formation. The heart, for example, is 767 megahertz. If you could retune the heart to that frequency, that would be a way to help someone that might have anxiety, that might have frustration. Also within your guts is probably like your descending colon and your ascending colon. The 5.8 hertz megahertz is 63 megahertz. Between 50 and 63 megahertz is the ones that you could play to help reharmonize these organs. So all these little clues are sort of, if you put together, make the bigger picture. And in the book, I've got like a harmonizing wheel that everyone can look at and understand. Oh, if I play this, this will help this. Oh, if I eat this, this will help this. So for example, lemon balm, which is one of my favorite herbs that I've written in the book for the children as well. I've written a little song for that. And it contains a compound called aminobiotic acid. Now that, in its purest form under a microscope, is a crystal. So a crystal inserted into a giant crystal is like data for our body to then use and put where it needs to be used for our electrical system, our neurons, to then use to rewire the neurological function, because lemon balm helps your nervous system, helps with depression. If you have hysteria, it's one of the things that is used, even with herpes virus, which latches on to your nervous system. You end up having a flare up, a cold sore, because your nervous system is going crazy. But yet this plant has the magical formula for you. Nature.
It's fascinating how so many of the first people, and they had to learn this on their own, or was given this knowledge, and it was passed on orally until writing, and then it got lost along the way, also protected along the way. And I feel so concerned about how chaotic the world can be at times, because we get so far removed, in my opinion, we get so far removed from nature and love and compassion and empathy, that we're so caught up in ourselves that, we touched upon it a little bit earlier, even just making music originally for self-expression.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so challenging for individuals to move beyond self? Like, what is the challenging thing for people?
it is the construction of their environment, which is forced upon many people to try to move through it. It's like if you're on a boat, you're in a stormy sea, it's hard for you to navigate in that storm, even though you're in the ocean itself with many others. It's all happening until you could probably find new waters and land and find an easy way to row. But sometimes you've got to go the distance. So most people are stuck either with the same patterns. So, which is kind of like, okay, until they reach breaking point, which is the choice point. The choice point is where you've got to make a decision. So I think because we're being put into a containment through indoctrination, so what we see, what we listen to, we get lost. But if you was to take a moment to turn your phone off, have a walk in nature and meditate, even if you wanted to go to a sound bath and have like a practitioner nearby who might even offer psilocybin for a ceremony, and which I've done in Estonia, my experience had been very expansive, where I was able to connect to the mycelia, which is in all things. The mycelia is a part of us. We are the infinite network that is connected to the trees, that is connected to consciousness. It is an electrical system. So our brains, through stress, deplete, and our hard wiring gets blown. So we could find tools to help ourselves, like the psilocybin or meditation and sound baths, and you can become unstuck. So I'd say, look at what are you doing, repeating? What patterns are you repeating? What's the uncomfortable feeling you keep meeting yourself at? And really look at that, write it down, and then ask the question, are you ready to move on from it? There's a lesson there. I think it's what happens, and some people feel they don't have a choice if they've got kids and they're stuck in a job, and I know that it is one of the most hardest things to do. And if that's the case, create little a ceremony for yourself, a little ritual of how you could start your day, and find fun in life again. That would be the key. How can you find fun in the time that you can? Because you can. And I could offer that, solutions and things like that. So yeah. Does that make sense, Joe?
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's great. Now, when you say you can help individuals with that, please share with us too some of the things with the different modalities that you use, and some of the things with the retreat and the herbalism, everything. Share with us like some of the things that you do offer individuals.
So one of the things that I would offer is I would have a one-to-one chat with you to see where you're at, for you to speak to me and share what it is that you feel. And then I will then take that into understanding, okay, where is it that these things are in your life, and tapping into the person. I then would take that and create a little program of, okay, where do we have room for you to then make some changes, little changes, and often, and set yourself affirmations, daily affirmations, and then some herbs that I'd be able to then recommend for you to take, which will help wherever it is needed. There might be a lack of serotonin in your body because of maybe an antibiotic that you took for a treatment that might not have agreed with you. And then I would understand, okay, where the problem would be, where your gut flora has been wiped, and you're then left with bacteria that can't be rid of, an overload of candida maybe on some women through stress. So I could offer these things, and even a sound therapy session too. So I would cultivate like a whole spectrum of things to integrate that into someone's life where they have time. And they're the things that I offer. And also my books. So my book, which is a digital download, if they wish to then expand their mind in their own time, have a read through that. Yeah.
Love that. And I have to ask too, how long have you been a herbalist? How long have you been studying and
Okay, since 2020.
right on? I love that. So when was it ever an interest when you were younger? Was it something that spoke to you right then and there? Like, what was that journey like?
So in 2018, I started having these, 2017, the first dream of plants that started speaking to me was that I was shown a glass dome with earth, and I was looking at this glass dome with earth, and then I was being told, sing to the earth. So I started singing to the earth, trying to find a note of some sort. But when I started fine tuning that in my own subconscious, and yep, no, just a bit like this, and then I hit a note, these shoots started growing from out the earth. And then I'm still singing, and then I'd stop, and then they would just stroll back into the earth and disappear. And then I think, wow, this is cool. Let's try that again. So I'd sing to the earth, and again these shoots would grow, and they would disappear when I'd stop. This happened a few times in the dream, and then the last time I sang, the shoots hit the surface of the dome to a point where there was a thud. When I woke up, I heard a thud in my room, and I'm like, what was that? Something about the plants. And then not long after that, I dreamt of seeing colors, and the earth was swaying and singing. I wasn't even on psychedelics, but the dream was the earth is singing, and there's all these colors, and there's this beauty. And I then felt like always a connection to nature in general. So I was connecting more and more, trying to understand what are these colors I'm seeing? What is this song that I'm hearing? What is wow, that's loud. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
That's a Costa Rican firefly of some sort. If it's too loud, I might have to shut the door.
It's wonderful. It's making a cameo, and it's welcomed.
There you go. Nature's communicating with us right now, saying, "Well, hey,
Absolutely.
we're talking the right language."
Yes.
And then and then when the pandemic hit, I sort of felt a bit lost in myself. Like, what was I doing? What was the bigger purpose of things? And I asked, who am I? Guys, if you are lost, always ask out and speak to your guides. Who am I? Show me who I can be, or who I am meant to be. Give me some guidance. And I went to bed. And then I woke up the next morning, looked on my phone, and had a recommendation from YouTube to watch Dr. Sebi's documentary. And when of course, Dr. Sebi, how could I forget? And then I watched this hour-long documentary. But during the duration of it, he said some key things about herbs: red clover, burdock root, electric foods, bromides, and all these phosphates. And I was just like, this makes sense. Red clover, where is red clover? I looked on my phone, red clover. I've seen this herb. I walked by it the other day. So with this newfound aha moment, I went, and with this feeling of excitement like a child, I went out. And Jay, when I saw the whole load of herbs of red clover, I just thought, I am truly in awe of nature right now, and I am listening. You know, David Lombo would say quite often, even to me, Emel, are we listening? You know, through suggestion of someone else, or through a suggestion through your phone or someone, you know. And I was listening, and I made a snap, found out that this was red clover, the benefits of red clover that actually my body needed. Next to that herb, there was, next to red clover, there was another herb, then another herb, then another herb. 94 herbs later, I started constructing this whole new joy of understanding what plant medicine was about, that these carbon chains within the silica of the plant is a form of an atom that could help puzzle piece within our bodies that could help reconstruct those missing enzymes, those the the molecular structure of a plant is God, and that is what we are. And the revelation was born, that this is my joy. And how about then I can sing some songs about herbs? That started happening naturally. Again, walking in the fields and all these oxeye daisies, and then I'd hear, okay, get your phone and start filming, like my discovery of oxeye daisy on my own. And I'd start singing, Daisy, Daisy, they call you a daisy, oxeye daisy. She's good for your uterus, amenogog nutrients. She will help your womb. And then I was like, oh, there's something in that. And then started writing poetry and song for myself to remember.
Right.
And then it became, how about I can do this for everyone else?
I love that. I love
and
that.
then now we're here, 3 years later.
There's the three. There's the three.
Oh.
Which is wonderful. And I think it's so profound that through music, through song and education, learning, and then disseminating that information for people to learn from and to elevate ourselves. And I love that was the experience you had. And thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, some of these songs, the whole 14 album has been finished. The last song was finished yesterday.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that's all been constructed.
Right on.
And I definitely would love to sing one at some point for everyone.
That's awesome. Yes. And so gosh, most people would probably ask you, how do you find the time? You're writing songs, you're writing poetry, books, you're helping people with voice activation. I'd love to talk about that as well too. I mean, gosh.
We can get into the voice activation. That was shown to me in 2022 when I had ayahuasca. And it was my second ceremony. And know that the medicine is a form of like DMT that's released. So DMT really activates the electrical neurological function, but then it's almost like you're an antenna to shooting outwards into like connecting to all that is beyond the paradigm that is this 3D reality. So it's like I connected to the higher aspect of myself, and then I started hearing these melodies that was coming from nature through into the room and out into the crowd of people, because we would all sit in a circle and nature was behind me, and I kept on being told, turn around, look at me, don't turn your back on me, I'm right here. You're here because we are connected. And so I started then connecting myself and being like a middleman for nature. So I felt like I had to have my hand out and then carried the frequencies that I could start to see through the ayahuasca. Then I was shown how color is merged with sound and how it's all intricately, it's put into a centrifugal force, which is where the music is housed through the person who's playing the instruments or the guitar, the shamans playing the songs. And then I remember like, seeing the colors of sound in different spots. Where a song would be sung in a certain set sequence, I was hearing other little nuances that need to be put in. We need to play. We're too strict on this rigid format. Let's play. So I was being shown I could play with this, with these different melodies and frequencies. And then I remember looking at this guy who was trying to sing, but he couldn't. And then I felt like I can help. And I was shown like, yeah, he's got blockages here, 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 here. Let's just fine tune them with my voice and my hands and reconfigure where the blockages are and shift them into the center and out. It will come out through his voice. And that's when I was showing the voice activation. So through knowing where those points are within the person, and not touching the person as such, but moving around the area or the auric field of someone or electromagnetic field of someone where they've incurred trauma. Trauma is a set of disharmonious, um, lodged in places within us, into our memory banks, that I could dislodge. And somehow I've been able to do this before, I was told, but it was about time I remembered. So I was working on him during ceremony, and I could see that colors were being released out of him, which needed to be set free, giving him the voice, finding his voice. And that's how it was birthed. I was able to understand that the human body is a fine-tuning fork, and that my ancestors used to do this, but it's been forgotten. And it's about time that I was to remember, because my soul is very old, and I was shown that I was a very old woman in this experience. And so I started the voice activation through my seminars in Amsterdam, and it was a 45-minute set, and I created a track. Then I would play live with these binaural beats, these set frequencies, which are aligned with Earth's resonance, the Schumann resonance. Certain tones were put in, and I was then working to get people to start singing with me through the mantras. Then I could feel into everyone in the room and do the same thing, but on a mass scale. And people found their voice then, because they were free from worry. I gave them a container, and then I realized this is how we can help each other, giving people a space in a container where they feel that they can just sing, and I'm going to be the facilitator for it. It's not just about me holding the space as a sound healer. What is a sound healer? We're all musicians. We're all instruments in this world. We just need to learn how to sing together again without judgment.
Oh,
That's how it began. Mm.
wow. I love that. Learning how to sing together again. That is, wow. And you remembering this, like on a deeper level of remembering this lost information, that was unlocked. And did you feel that a lot of that was unlocked after that ayahuasca experience, more so that everything felt a little bit different?
Yeah, I received certain keywords that I've written about in the book, about how to truly crystallize your being, by understanding that we wear our words. What you think will also become. So not just what you say, that the thought is a pulse, is a waveform that you're sending out into the quantum. And I was tuning into all of that and bringing it in and embodying it. So I practice it. I don't just experience it and then forget about it. I'm like, right, so how do we do this? Really, because after my experience, I then put that into practice with the seminars that I did and the events that I held, that I still hold, even being here. But it's about singing together, and also actually truly finding the right tones. That's what I got on my last ceremony, that there is a lost song. The songs of the ancients and the stars are lost. And we will remember. There will be remembrance of that, and it's coming. And it's there are no words to it, I don't think. It's more like there's a melody, and it does something to us. Because I wrote about that in one of my memoirs, about how we will then communicate in symbols again.
It's fascinating because we think on so many different levels how through antiquity we've seen different civilizations, even with like, going back to early form of writing, cuneiform, glyphs of different kinds. And I find it so fascinating that now, and I know it's for different reasons, but people on their phones and everything, they're using emojis to communicate, just symbols again. And
Yeah.
it's fascinating to me because when you said that, I felt this for while that we're going to go back to symbols again. Symbols and sounds, tones, frequency, vibration, like the things that transcend language, belief systems, all of these things that unify us as beings that we all feel and can recognize.
Yeah. So exactly. Go on.
No. I'm good. No, you had a thought, so let's go with it.
So there's many ancients, obviously, like you're saying, the cuneiform, the Sumerians, they all had a form of symbol writing, right? And one of the past life memories I had was writing in what looked like Celtic or Mayan. I was writing the symbols, and I started then. I had never pursued it, but writing a language and finding all the alphabets for it, and I'm like, what am I doing? So I kind of stopped that. I stopped the process, but then I should look back and understand what was this being within me trying to say. So sometimes we stop ourselves. We can be our worst enemy sometimes, but I think just delve in. And on the 18th of May 2021, I had a dream where it was like humanity has to change. Earth becomes one color. Communication through symbols. Name changes to a symbol. Find my name in a symbol. And that's what I got. Language, race, religion. We all need to move past this and see that we are all one. Barriers to come down for us to see beyond the constraints and idea of boxing things into categories. A flower is a flower, but there's a million different types, but they're all seen as flowers, nothing more or less. And inner balance means you are your own source, and that your next step is to pull your own source with another, which means that we can dream of a world that has balance, a life of peace and harmony with all sentient beings. Action on this every day, being kind to all, being selfless where you can to make it so. And then on the 24th of December, I heard Luvia, and then it was called out to me, and which means Luvia is a comparable to the tree of life. It is the beginning and the end of all things that manifest themselves, which is interesting because during the duration of eating the herbs, this is where the language was coming in, which is know thyself, human. As is within is without. And the tree of life became a very important segment into some of the research that I was doing, ancient history, which is the symbols. So, for example, Irish tree of life, if everyone looks at that, they'll see that's a symbol. The Celtic tree of life, the primordial water symbol is important. And the links of nature with the ancients were teaching us the cosmic connection with plant medicine, their power with symbols, and the science behind the universe's relation to the Earth and other planets. So there's no coincidence there. And the tree of life was a magical tree that grew in the center of paradise, as mentioned in many scriptures and all over ancient cultures worldwide. Then came Apsu, the watery deep beneath the earth, and the Tamant, the personification of the salt waters or primordial waters, flowered from its roots. Now that's one story to tell the grandkids. There's so much mystery that links to these illustrations, which people can find or in my book. And the tree is described in Genesis, the biblical tree of paradise, evolved directly from this ancient symbol. It is a symbol from which the Egyptians, Islamic, Nordic, Scottish, and Irish tree of life concepts originated. So as the cylinder seals, dated back 45,000 years old, kept by the priests of astronomy. Again, with the first millennium Mesopotamian seal, showing a worshipper and the fish, garbed sage before a stylistic looking tree. I'll leave it at that for now.
Awesome. It's fantastic. A lot of research clearly went into this too, because you're bringing up so many different paths and through antiquity, and just the congruence between the different
Mhm.
civilizations, which is, I think, fantastic, that a lot of people just aren't aware of. They haven't been made aware of. So I'm grateful for your book that people can. And where's the best place folks can find the book title, and how can they find it?
So, Where the Wild Herbs Grow and Wonders of the Universe is found on my website, which is www.emelswonderland.com. Um, it's only digital download at the moment. I don't have a manual copy that will be going out, but there will be at some point. But I think for now, that's somewhere that people can get it and keep it, carry it wherever they wish on their tablets. Um, and it's like, let's build the bigger picture. And I think through actually listening to harmonics and playing my flute and doing the meditation and eating the plant medicine, of all the 92 herbs I'd found and just all scoffed down, we can really tap into all that is like, which is within us. And the book has a very easy to follow breakdown of what I just said. If some people have just gone, it's all over their heads. You talk about my name, I'm talking about symbols, and then I talk about people's names will become a symbol, but everything has a symbolic meaning. Through sound we have imagery, so we have to expand on that. What does that look like? Yeah.
I know earlier you had brought up, with your experience with the entity. And, for those who don't know, Thoth, did you figure out after the fact that that is what you, or the energy, the being the entity that you were communicating with, or was it something that you knew about beforehand?
Well, I came across Thoth through a women's circle in 2018, and I had a reading from this woman, and I was a bit skeptical of what she had to say, but when she'd sort of said, "You're not here for a reading; you're here to be told to remember who you are. Your ancestors were healers." I was like, "Yeah, my great great grandmother was," and they're upset that I never learned the techniques. And she would help people in Cyprus in the village. Apparently, my grandmother would tell me the big cues, and she remembers as a little kid watching all these random strangers turning up and grandmother doing all this stuff. And so anyhow, like after that meeting with her, she said, "I'd love you to join our women's circle, but it's up to you if you wish to join." And what that means is you get to just work on your abilities. I thought, well, what have I got to lose? Life is about experiencing, no fear. And so I went, and it was at that point I had the encounter of Thoth, because she sort of changed her demeanor. So we all started, standing up. We said a little prayer. We, asked for guidance from our guides and spirit to help us through this circle and this space and this time together. And we all sat down, and we did like a meditation on grounding ourselves, working through our nervous system, realigning our energy centers. And then we did a segment of cleaning the ocean. And that was working with a dolphin and with an assistance with taking the net and cleaning the rubbish. And then after that process, I completely forgot about it. But then during that time, that's when her body language changed, and she sort of started singing differently. And all the women in the circle had their hand out like this. I'm just freaking out. What's going on? What are they doing? I'll just do the same thing, and what does one do anyhow? So I'm sitting there, and then that's when her voice changed, and she sort of said, her greetings, my dear. You have We've been waiting for you for a very long time, and you have many gifts, and in time you will learn how to use them. You will advance quickly. However, you won't learn them all here. My dear, I'm so glad you're here. And what a gift it is to have you among us. A word of advice: do keep your mask on, my dear. And I'm taking this all in and trying to remember as much as I can, because I've written it all down. And I just took it all in. And then the energy of the room had become less dense. And then she just sort of sat back up, and all the women put their hands down. And when she sat up, she started having these hiccups, like constantly. I'm thinking, is this for real? Like, what just happened? And so I went home after that, went to bed, and I had a dream that I was on the ground and I was in the desert, and there was a figure that was walking towards me, and I could see his feet ankle high, with the wind, with flames around this being, and it was approaching me, and I felt an arrival and a presence, and it felt like it was Thoth, and then I realized when I woke up after that, had I met this presence? So I started my research. Then I found out that Thoth was a scribe through Egypt, wrote this language, then found the emerald tablets, really went in deep with that, truly tried to understand the language, talking about frequency and vibration and moving through spirals and through the corridors of time, how we are all children of the light, and teaching us through keys to ascend from darkness into the light. And then more things, started coming in, and I looked at my phone and I saw like 4 new friend requests from cleaning the ocean companies. I was like, oh, did it really happen? Did we clean the ocean? But then I realized, of course you did. The power of the mind, you had the will to do something energetically. It did something, and the universe showed you through a manifestation of the will of others that are doing the same thing. And then, I then started having further information given, which is like arrival in Egypt's dream. This was like, the Thoth experience was in 2018 in February. And then in March the 10th, I was in Egypt I looked through a hole in a wall and noticed ornaments and tall pillars that were standing alone from the ceiling. And they were scattered, 4 pillars. And then somehow I'm in the room now, and the tops of the pillars were glowing a lightish blue light. And then I felt the life in the room was alive. And then I walk up to a wall that starts to speak to me telepathically. And it seems conscious and liquid-like. And then it asks me, am I Emel? And I say yes. And then the wall seemed to have absorbed my name. And again, Emel was resonated back at me and through me to confirm, like, my name, Emel, it came through me. And then it's like it activated something further, like it was waiting for me to arrive. And then I turned to face another wall, and that was also the same consciousness, and I woke up. Yeah. And I started really truly understanding that to understand the past is key, because we are going through a time of awakening through our amnesia.
I think it's so important. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's so important for people to realize that, to remember on a deeper level, and how through symbolism, through sound, nature, these seem to be the tools the ancients have used, and the reason that they've tried to carry them on through, whether it's stories orally or through carvings, art. I would even say through song as well too, with scales and there's certain songs that, you hear on a flute and you wonder why you feel or think those thoughts and those feelings when you hear a certain sequence of notes played through a flute. There's something that it does. It activates something, truthfully.
Funny enough, as I'm sitting here listening to what you said, I'm hearing something in my head, which was a song that I had heard in a dream. And I recorded it, but I never took it further. It was like, on the ancient lands we walk, standing side by side. From the ancient lands we walk, hoping to become one. And then it kind of had that feel to it.
Oh, that's beautiful. You haven't recorded that yet?
No, it just came to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I think we're pooling together here. That's what we're really doing. It's right through conversation and energy and sound. And that's, if you're supposed to remember this song, if you're supposed to, whatever it is, we're supposed to absolutely have this conversation, and it's greater than us.
Oh, wow. Well said. It is greater than us. It's not about me. It's about we.
It's not about me. It's about we. Agreed.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. I feel such joy right now, and just an inner peace. Not that I didn't feel peaceful before, but there's something to be said about when everything is on the path and everything is unfolding the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. And so with that, if the tree of life is the end and the beginning, what's interesting, something that I've written, is Jesus refers to himself as, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning, the end. And this can be depicted through carvings, like an ancient Greek boulder on a wall, Greek symbols of Alpha and Omega. The Ankh, if you pay attention and look at that, no coincidence if you're a mathematician, understand. Vikings and Norse symbols, sacred symbols of the power, water spirit, and even the links of nature with the ancients teach us the cosmic connection with symbols and the science behind the universe's relation to the earth and other planets. So it's a language that we're learning to remember. And my mission is to do that through sound. But it's not about me. Know that I am a part of everyone, that this is something that we're all learning and remembering together. But I'm putting my hand up and volunteering to do my best to work with people as I help myself to help others.
Well, I think it's wonderful. I think it's one of those things where we're reaching, in my opinion, we're reaching a point in time and space where I think the collective consciousness and that vibration is rising, and it's going to take that collective thought and will. So I think these conversations are important because I think they wouldn't have occurred. I know they didn't occur as frequently as they do now. They weren't as socially accepted. Maybe people just kind of passed it off as maybe nonsense or quote unquote, it's just hippie talk or whatever. I think people are now more open to the ideas and to the feelings that there is truth within this.
Really well said, Jay. I love that. And, as you were speaking, I was thinking, how could we all enter the same point in time without an event? I wish I could put on a large event for 2,000 people. We can all have the same intention through a sound journey, right? Anchoring in a primary event to enhance not only our electromagnetic field, our mental state, but our will to anchor in what peace feels like and really project that through. And if we can gather 2,000 people, great, you know. But maybe if everyone was to, at say, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock for 5 minutes, close their eyes and just imagine peace within themselves. And if 2,000 people every evening, wherever they are around the world, from like 8 o'clock to give themselves 10 minutes and do that, maybe at that time we'd see Earth receive that.
I love that. I love that. And I know that if we account for time zones and everything else, we figure out that one time, and if we can get people on board, let's do it. You know, if someone's got it going on, then let's get the information out there and share so that we can all be on the same page at the same time, putting our will together for the greater good of all of us.
Yes, mobilize.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Love this. Now, I got to ask too, is with your books, retreats, everything else, is all that information, is that also on your website as well?
So yeah, people can read up about my voice activation for retreats, or if they want to have a one-to-one, they can. The book is on there too. The Her Book for Children. And there is a membership area as well. So there's a portal there that people can become a member and then receive more information, voice activation lessons, and some of the ancient teachings. And if they can't get through, just let me know. But it's all there. Yeah.
That's awesome. And where else can folks find you? I know you're on Instagram. How can folks find you on Instagram?
So you can find me on Emel_Michael. And there's also another account, Emels_Herbarium. So you can find me there. And also I am on Spotify if you wish to listen to some of the other songs that I've written that are out there, and YouTube, my YouTube channel, just type in my name and you'll see some of the other stuff that I've been doing if you wish. And if you're someone that wants to put on an event somewhere around the world, again, you can reach out to me via my email. It's all there.
That's awesome. And we'll be sure we're going to have that all in the description below. Whether people are listening to this or whether they're watching this, they'll be able to access all that information so they can find you and you'll be a lot more accessible to them.
Yeah, amazing.
So I got to ask, in your feelings, in your opinion, in your being, in this moment, what do you feel needs to be shared the most?
It's okay to doubt yourself, because doubting self means you're truly starting to tap into a deeper aspect of what self means. And self is something that's not separate from everything. So know that you are connected to all that is. That there is nothing that is inside of you that's outside of you. Everything is all connected. And you are never alone. Like, aloneness is coming into oneness. And through the acts of kindness, compassion, and happiness, walking these practices, really truly embodying it, will make you feel so much more complete. Doing 3 acts of kindness. Don't tell the person you're doing it. Whether you give them $20, speak to a homeless person, ask them, any stranger, how are you today? That would be my words for this evening.
Thank you, Emel. I appreciate that.
And what about yourself, Jay? What would your last words be?
Oh, gosh. Last words? I'd like to think of it as more of a maybe last sound or last, because I don't know if my words wouldn't be transcribed for another to understand, then maybe it would just be that vibration of love and that tone that I could resonate. Maybe it would be just be. Just be. And that can be love, that can be peace, and that anything that you think or you feel about another, you're feeling about yourself. And so shift that and just feel and be. And as long as you be, everything will be. And I think it's important for us to continue to share love and peace and just be ourselves. I guess. I mean, it's not so profound, but it's just that's what I felt
No,
in
it's
that moment.
nothing. We shouldn't exaggerate how big or small something is. Just know that
Right.
it's sending waves.
Right. Like I just want people to be, we're human doings a lot of time instead of human beings. And I feel like bringing that back to just being ourselves and loving, one another, loving ourselves, starting with
Yeah.
good, proper self-care, and letting that resonate outside of ourselves. I think too often there are so many gaps and holes that people are trying to fill within themselves emotionally, psychologically, where we get caught up in these traps and pitfalls, and people will turn to substances that maybe don't help them, but maybe they're numbing things, or maybe they're distracting themselves instead of trying to be themselves and knowing thyself to allow themselves to then be and resonate, so that by being ourselves, we can then accept and love others around us. Because I think that's the important part, is we're missing that fact. We're missing that point that if we are all one, and if I'm having a conversation with somebody, it's just, in my opinion, in my view, it's another version of myself in space and time. It's experiencing life through different eyes and senses and everything. So I will show a courtesy because it's all a ripple effect. And it's the same, that I will be experiencing that, or I am experiencing that simultaneously. You are you only in my mind, but everything is I. So project that love, project that peace, and build that harmony by being.
Yes, beautifully. Really, really well said, Jay. And really, thank you. And I mean, they're the most important things, I think. And do 3 acts of kindness for yourself. What could you do to be kind to yourself? Because when you're happy within yourself, yeah, it will be a ripple effect externally. And if you're not happy with yourself, how can you find ways to make yourself happy?
I love that. And I love that you said that earlier in our conversation, is in that time that you have, find something fun, do something fun, something that brings joy. Because I think we can all relate that when we are feeling good and we are happy, there's a certain energy that's just coming out, and everyone can feel it. Everyone. Whereas like maybe if we're a little sad or a little down or upset or stressed out, people can feel that too. And we're not at our best. So learning to kind of move through those moments and those feelings, just ebb and flow with it like nature, and get back in,
Ride that wave.
Yeah, 100%. Easier said than done at times. I absolutely know that, but it doesn't have to be challenging.
No, know that pain is a teacher, and through dark times, it adds to spiritual substance. And that if you can break through that, you're having a breakthrough. This is key. We all feel like less of ourselves when we're not in sort of, I guess, in that space of at our best. But you sometimes have to go through that darker aspect of self to truly rise. But yes, that's what I would say.
I love that. So true. The pain, it teaches us so much. It does.
Yes.
It's wonderful sentiment that we can still come back and hope that we can continue to love after pain, and then to also be mindful that others are in pain. So we should show
Yes.
them love and that courtesy.
There's one thing I'd like to read, if I may,
Please.
before we
Yes,
go.
absolutely.
Letters from the Ancient Ones, February 1989. A message to the world of the blue. We have been watching your progress over these past years. We have been watching the technology and the growth and of your population. This has been worrying us. And of your aggression, there is an escalation in your world that we are concerned about. We see the conflict growing day by day. Technology has taken over your minds. The machines are running your lives. You are ready to destroy a world. You all lost the sensation of love. You are going to a point of no return. If you do not listen to us, we cannot help you. You have a beautiful world. You have only one. My name is Isioli. So from that, don't allow technology to take over your minds. Do those 3 acts of kindness for yourself and for others. And try to give yourself that 10 minutes of meditation and anchoring in peace within yourself. And through your turmoil, reach out to someone and don't feel alone. And that's why we're here, myself and Jay, for example. Why Jay is doing this program is for us to use technology for the betterment.
And there you have it. I can't thank Emel enough for all your time, your space, and your energy. If you want to find out more about Emel and her music, poetry, and her books, be sure to check out emelswonderland.com. You can also find Emel on Instagram at Emel_Michael. If you're watching this episode, we sure hope you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can find out about our new bi-weekly releases. If you're listening to the podcast, take a moment and rate it. We are still a new podcast, believe it or not. So by you rating this episode, it truly helps us reach more people. So thank you. Until next time, take care of one another and keep thinking for yourself.